Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Naija Knows. We're back. We're back. It's still Black History Month. Yeah. So I am Nika and we have
Yeji
Alicia
and Tori.
Yay. And since it's still Black History Month, we're going to give y'all a couple of Black History facts and we're going to dive right into our topic today. So go ahead, Yeji.
All right. So can you say Ursha baby? Okay.
Ursha baby.
He did his thing at the Super Bowl halftime show. And speaking of the Super Bowl, I have a very interesting and fun fact. Who knew that In Living Color, created by Keenan Ivan Wayans, would be the catalyst for inspiring the NFL to revamp its halftime shows to be more entertaining and worth the views? In 1992, In Living Color, which aired on the Fox network, was a hit sketch comedy show, and they decided to go head-to-head with the traditional Super Bowl halftime show. They aired a live special episode during the halftime of Super Bowl 26, attracting millions of viewers away from the original NFL halftime show. The Fly Girls, in particular, which with their electrifying dance routines, set the precedent for halftime entertainment that emphasized high-energy performances and engaging visuals. Additionally, in Living Color demonstrated the power of diversity in entertainment, showcasing talents from various backgrounds and celebrating cultural expressions. Hence the birth of some heavy hitters today like Jamie Foxx, Jim Carrey, the Wayans siblings, Jennifer Lopez, and the list goes on. By drawing inspiration from the In Living Color, the NFL elevated its halftime shows in the following year, turned their declining halftime viewership around, and were able to pull off getting the King of Pop, aka Michael Jackson himself, to perform, and the rest was history. Each year is a new level of entertainment, attracting larger audiences and making the NFL halftime show as iconic moments in history. So you can do what you want to do in living color. Hey, so shout out. Okay. Shout out to Keenan Ivan Wayans for blessing us with In Living Color and being an inspiration and helping the NFL level up their halftime show to what it is today. So who knew? Who knew? Right? I really want to live in color, so that's dope.
Wow. Yes. Wow. Okay. That's a good fact. Thank you.
Nice fun fact. You're welcome.
Snaps, huh?
Shout out to the husband on Clutch Life 85 because he does a little facts and I kind of pulled that from there. Revamped it for sure. But I love the fact and it just relatable for the NFL. So
yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Naomi Osaka. I hope I said her name right. She won the 2020 Associated Press Female Athlete of the Year Award and 2020 Sports Person of the Year by Sports Illustrator for her racial justice activism. She made statements by wearing the names of victims of police brutality on her mask during games and appearances. So, all right, Naomi.
Yes, shout out to Naomi Osaka. Yes. So y'all, we have a topic today, and we're going to be talking about whether or not we should be educating, enlightening the Wahites, the white people, about racism or how to end racism, because they know about it, but how to end it and how to make sure they're not, passing off microaggressions, in the workplace or anywhere for that matter. So Tori, how you feel about that?
That's an easy no for me. Absolutely. That's a point blank easy no. Because at this point, we have the internet. We've got books. At this point, to me, it gets a little silly to try to reiterate the damages of history from the people that are responsible for that history. And for the people responsible for rewriting our history and or possibly negating what history and linkage we had to our source as is. At this point, I always feel like the Black American experience is a very interesting and different experience in itself, but no, and I feel like a lot of pilgrims will take they take it as an excuse. I feel like a lot of times, not all the time, but I feel like a lot of times and as a whole, sometimes it's used as an excuse to play, I didn't know, oh my God, can you, almost like when you have I'll use the stereotypical example. When you have a husband that doesn't want to do a particular chore, and so they do that chore so badly that you end up doing it for them because you get so frustrated that they do it so badly on purpose that you just can't even be bothered anymore. And I think that when it comes to that education, again, I can't, I'd see it. I see the, what do you mean? Oh my gosh, I don't see color. I don't, yes, you do. It's there. I hope you see color. I'm brown and black. Like I am black. I hope you see color and can respect the culture that comes with it. But what I need for you to do is to make sure that you're also checking yourself and you're kind of like moving forward with it. I don't think it's worth educating. I think setting boundaries and saying and showing what we will and won't accept in regards to behaviors toward us. I think that should be done. Like the behavior is going to stop. I am no longer going to accept that. But no, I'm not going to sit here and explain why I set this boundary. Because if you're really that interested, you'll go look it up.
Right.
So at that point, no, it's not. No, I don't think it's definitely not our job to educate them. It is our job at this point to set the boundary and hold firm on that boundary. And then if they're really interested in it, they'll go look it up to, on their own time. I think that the education portion now, that luxury and that gift belongs to us. Like we need to continue to educate ourselves in our own history because we've lacked that for so long. So that's kind of where I stand on that. It's not educate them. I could, at this point, I know I'm not worried about educating them, just the boundaries, but I'm worried and more concerned about educating ourselves and that piece of our history that's been taken from us. That's the part that I think the education should be saved for. That's a gift.
All right. I agree. Felicia?
Well, no. In my experience with my mom, as you know, you guys know my mom's in a nursing home, and she has a white roommate. Well, had, because that situation got handled this week. A situation happened where I got a phone call from the nursing home saying, you need to come up here. I don't like what's being said. I don't like what's going on in that room. Bring your mom some coffee. You need to figure out what's going on in that room. I found out yesterday the N-word was being thrown around. And also, I don't know why Black people have to play their music so loud. So me being me, at this point, I'm not educating you. I'm going to slap the hell off because first of all, who are you talking to? And I know for damn sure you're not talking to my mother, who's your elder, because you're like, I think she's between 53 and maybe 57. My mom is 69 years old. And what you're going to do, you're going to respect this woman, this Black woman who has paid her dues in the nursing world. And you're also going to respect these Black people who are taking care of you, because that's all that there's a lot of Haitians in aides, the nurses. So no, I don't think it is our duty. I don't think it's our responsibility to educate, but go slap the hell off. Yes. I'm tired, and I think we should be tired as a people too. So yes.
Usually day.
I think to an extent, I am open to have the conversations of people that are our white counterparts that do the research and then want to open up the dialogue and say, this is what I've researched, or better yet, go down your bloodline. If you've known that they've been a part of hey, some people may have members that have been part of the Klan. They may have had racist grandparents. You never know. Go, if they're still living, go and have that conversation with them. See why they thought the way they thought. And then reevaluate how you think of things. How have you being raised in an environment like that have affected you? What stereotypes do you put upon Black people? How can you correct your way of thinking? And then we can have that conversation. Again, I do think that with anything, education is a mindset where people want to grow and thrive. And that means you do have to do some legwork for yourself. So once you're starting to do the legwork for yourself, growing up basically from Nigerian household, Caribbean household, education was key. Ain't nobody cheating off of me. Ain't nobody getting my hard work. So you're not just going to ask for the answers. I'm gonna see do your work, because I never asked somebody for the answers. I did my work, and if I didn't understand something, I asked for clarification. You can ask me for clarification, and I can let you know if you're wrong. But I don't feel that we're responsible, because at the end of the day, Black people did not oppress themselves. We didn't come in and say that we're less than. We didn't see ourselves as not human. So that was something that was depicted upon by the white race to differentiate what privileges were given. So you need to look at your people and say, we're the ones that created this difference. How can we start to close the gap? And then we can come aside, but we're not the ones that's going to be on the front line. We've been on the front line way too long. And it's time for other people to just take accountability. So I do think that there has to be show of work and putting in the research first, and then we can have conversations. I think the only issue with now is that the conversations turn into arguments because our feelings are invalidated. And then now it's turned into, oh, now we have to console them on something that's offensive to us. And I think that that is what needs to be worked on. But what do you think, Nikki?
Well, I agree with every last one of y'all. I really do. And I feel like when I've had conversations with other Black people, obviously, but even white people about this particular topic, the phrase now is white privilege. If you look at what the word privilege actually means, I think that's what kind of throws some of them off, because they think like, oh, it means that I have money, or I have, access. I mean, not access, but, riches, financially, which isn't always okay. There's poor people in every, race and ethnic group of people. But you have to first, you may not have directly had a slave, right? I get it. That was your great, 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 whoever. But you do have to recognize the fact that you have certain benefits because of it. Whether you're poor or not, there's certain access to things and certain fights that you don't have to fight for the simple fact that, your skin lacks melanin. So should we be educating them? Most definitely not. I know I don't. I know when it comes, like what Tori said, when it comes to like a personal thing, because sometimes, as much as we like to think we're in an information age and everybody should know, some people literally are ignorant. I call it the white bubble. And I only say that because some people that I have interacted with that are white, they literally, it's just like, if you bring it to them, it's like it's a foreign thing to them because they didn't grow up in the same world that you did. Their worldview is completely different than how you see it. And sometimes it's not on purpose, but it's sort of kind of to your point, usually how they were raised and, other things that may have happened subconsciously that they may not be aware of. So if it comes to a personal thing, like, I'm gonna let you know, hey, that's not cool. You need to check yourself or whatever. But as a whole, the general thing, definitely not. It's way too much information out here. It's way too many podcasts, way too many news stories, articles, YouTube videos and stuff about, these things. And if you, want to be an ally, that's one thing. Okay, we can have the conversation. But like Tori said, with that whole victim thing, I find that tends to be the go-to. Like, oh, just like the thing with Felicia's mom. I sure did go up there with her when Felicia called me and told what happened. Oh, hold on, let me get home, change my clothes, because we're gonna go up to this nursing home and see what's really going on.
It was happening.
And of course, when we got there and we're standing there, she changed. Well, I never said that about Black people.
The talk
What
changes.
do you mean? Well, how did we get here? She's the victim. Like, girl.
Yeah, and I wanted to go off, and the cat was like, wait. Because when I tell you I wanted to cuss her ass out,
Right.
I was. And my mom's like, tell me, don't touch the TV. I'm like, I don't give up. I'm going to touch it. It's yours. We watch Black shit. If she don't like it, she can go.
I'm like, Felicia, hold on.
I was mad.
She sat up. She was like, how did we get here?
Wait. She did not only sit up, Nika. She sat up and ripped the curtain back.
Okay, well, since you want to come
So the curtain's like a divider between the rooms?
Between the two beds. So
The two
my mom
beds.
is near the window and there's a divider. So when you have the curtain closed, it's kind of like you're in your own little
Your
bubble.
own little room. So she came on the side.
She sure did.
Come inside then.
Come over.
Cross that
See, I
line.
wanted to get her ass, but Nick wouldn't let me.
Because I'm like, because I feel like I've dealt with people like that, at school, in the workplace. And sometimes it's just, even though it's like she did end up being the victim, they just feel like they need to be heard. So she, Felicia, calm down, let her say what she needs to say. And she said all her little piece. Okay, but the thing is, we were told that you were saying things about Black people. So that's where the issue lies. There could be a compromise with the AC, the blinds. That's fine. I even went over to the blinds. Is this acceptable for you?
She did. She did. What about the volume on the TV?
Fine.
Is this okay?
But see, the thing is what you said about Black people, though. So I never said that.
Oh,
I
really?
never
Okay.
said that. Go ahead.
I
Tori.
then wanted to say, oh, my mom was mistaken. So that means my mom, the two aides, and the nurse who heard you was mistaken, huh? Everybody was mistaken. And then I got told today by the assistant director of nursing that she even went in there and talked to her and said that your mom is being bullied by this lady. She's lucky because she's in her right mind. I wish I could have drug her.
Oh, so she don't have like Alzheimer's or dementia?
No, she
I was
lost
playing devil's
function.
advocate, but I guess so.
You were trying? No. She doesn't. She has all of her faculties.
And I think that's
what was you
we
gonna
have to
say,
stop
Tori?
to the masses. We find a lot of times that I think we here in America, especially if you're like, we have been taught that we should, give the pass. We have been cultivated to give the pass to everybody, to turn the other cheeks all the time when things happen and give that pass. And to the point, like, well, what about her circumstances? What about her context? And it's kind of like, but that's never given in return. But we have almost been brainwashed to give that consideration to everybody else. And at that point, like for me, I'm like, no, you can't get too much more consideration out of me because you weren't considerate of me. Because when you get upset, the first thing you do is weaponize your tears, you weaponize your victimization, and then it's never a full, vulnerable, open conversation. A lot of times it always ends up being, but why? Why can't it be this? Why do I? And it's kind of like,
Yeah.
That level of trying to get that back. And so like to your point, I had a nurse friend that was like that. She, she's like, I don't understand, with the height of, the whole Trump thing. And she was like, I don't understand. I'm a nurse, I worked my butt off. I came from the trailer parks. I came from, nothing. And I was poor and I was this and I was that. And I worked really hard. I put myself through school to be a nurse and things like that. And I'm like, okay. She's like, so I don't understand why Black people think they have it harder. I had a hard time. I said, no one's negating the fact that you had a hard time. The fact is that you did the work and you got to where you wanted to be. The problem is that if somebody came in and did the same amount of work as you, now has to consider this extra layer on top of all of that work about their skin color that you don't have to worry about. For you, it's do the work, put in the time, put in hard work, right? Put in the work, do the time, do the things, that the American dream says you can do, and then you can get it. But for those of us with melanin in our skin, sometimes it's sad because sometimes we can do the work and it's still a blocker. I still have to now, that Black person that put in the same amount of work now still also has to be worried that someone's going to see their name on paper and automatically put them a rung below because they can tell they're Black. Or they meet them in person and now it's like, well, I'm going to prefer you now because you know what? You're not Black. Mm-hmm. And that's a very real thing. And that's the difference that we're talking about. Someone could do the same exact thing as you. And now there's an extra piece that you'll never have to worry about. You'll never have to think about that.
You know what's funny?
Where?
Tori, about the name thing. I remember when I was telling after I had my daughter and my family was like, oh, well, what's her name? I remember the first thing they would tell me, ooh, that's a Black name. And this is coming from my own family now. Like, ooh, everybody's going to know she's Black. I'm like, what? And really just by a name? Mm-hmm. It's crazy how much weight, a name could carry. And it's like, oh, well, now I'm be stigmatized just by my name.
There's statistics behind.
And it's like,
even with my name, people think they see my name and I think I've gotten interviews because my last name is De Leon and they think I'm Spanish. And then they see me, it's like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting.
It's like, I love metaphors and analogies. It's like, here's the ground, right? There's a well, right? Black people, let's say it's from slavery. Let's start from there. Got pushed down into the well. Some white people got pushed down in there as well, right? Only thing is the white people had their father or whoever it was to throw them a rope. Meanwhile, our whole family is down there. Ain't nobody up here to throw us a rope. So you got the rope to climb up. And now you're like, well, why don't you get up? Why can't you get up? Meanwhile, y'all done took the rope out my daddy hand and burned it. And then you're trying to figure out, and then you're looking at me like something's wrong with me. Well, I got out. Why can't you? Well, you had a rope to climb up on. I didn't. So I literally had to climb with my nails, to get out of this well. So it's not even we would like it to be, but it's not.
Right. And that rope is being systematic racism. It's, setting up how, it's how the system is completely set up to make things okay for everybody else, except for those who are, the ones that have done all the building for slaves and for Black Americans and for people of color. Like, it's meant to only facilitate those that look like pilgrims.
Yeah. And that's why I don't feel like we should educate them.
I know you're gonna say something.
And on that, that's definitely
about us than we do. They're the ones that snatched it. So it's like, tell us, right? Tell us what you took. Like, educate me on what you took, and that'll help me, on the way there. Like, I get it.
Usually, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was just saying, like, based on how Alicia's stamp on the conversation, but also what Tori was saying, kind of really rolls into, like, since we're all Black women dealing with microaggressions in the workplace as well. And I can tell you, there's not any Black woman that I've met in passing or with friends that have stories to tell when it comes to working in corporate America. And I've had instances where I would talk to people, and I think especially with our white counterparts, the issue is they're not even aware of how they say things and how it comes across. And I remember I was like giving a presentation. I was talking about a presentation. I got finished and the person was just like very impressed by the presentation. And then they're just like, wow, you're just so well spoken. And I am like queen of rebuttal, grown up Black, you come back with the comebacks, but I came back very professional and corporate. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? And their face just turned flush. And then it was the stammering, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I'm not being aggressive. And then it got into, I was like, no, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, we're all in a place that's like, it's a corporate office. Like, why wouldn't I be well-spoken? I do have a degree. There's a time and a place for everything, slang or whatever the case may be, but I'm not going to do that in a business setting. But I just challenge, like, do you know how that came across? Because everybody else that gave their presentations, you didn't say, wow, you're well-spoken. You said that was a great presentation. So I want to know, when it came to me, why was it a surprise that I know how to speak? So I think it's also just challenging them. I think before, when I was more timid, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know what to say about it, because like I was afraid to lose my job and this and that, the other. But then when I got strong in my faith, I realized, I said, look here, God has blessed me every time. Even if you fire me from this job for the right or the wrong reasons, I'm going to keep myself dignity intact, and I'm going to be able to address situations in a professional manner, but I'm going to challenge you. And I think as Black women, we have the hard time of, as soon as you challenge something and you can be talking at this tone, calm down. Why are you being so aggressive? And I'm like, oh, you ain't seen aggressive.
Right. I think I'm glad you said that, because
you're better than I can say.
Right. I was gonna, because we are talking about microaggression. So I'm a words person. My mom made us look up word. Mommy, what does this mean? Go look it up. So I, of course, had to look it up in Webster. And let's get a definition of microaggression, which is a comment or action that often unconsciously or unintentionally expresses a prejudiced attitude toward a member of a marginalized group, such as a racial minority. So that's, when we talk about microaggressions, just for, educational purposes for everybody, that's what a microaggression is, which is exactly, the instances that we're talking about. Because sometimes, like I said, they may or may not even realize that they have, that unconscious bias, and then it comes out and the whole, oh, you're so well-spoken, those types of, and sometimes it's real blatant, being with having fully Nigerian names, you'd be surprised some of the things people say. Black people, which always irritates me probably more than it does from white people, but the comments. I remember one time I went to get my nails done, and the lady, she asked me my name, and I was asking her what language she was speaking. She was Vietnamese, and I was, oh, what's the name of that language, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, and I'm talking about, Nigeria and Yoruba and wanting to learn blah, blah, blah. And she goes, you want to go to Nigeria? You want to go to Africa? Don't they have needles all over the floor? Aren't you afraid of catching AIDS?
Hey, yeah.
And I'm sitting there with her hands, my hands. I'm like, Oh, what do you mean? Don't they have like needles all over
and
the
we're
ground?
done.
Don't they have needles all over the ground? You could just step on them and catch AIDS. Oh, where are you
Oh,
getting this information from? Because they
oh yeah.
at the time the whole big thing was AIDS to Africa, to help with AIDS. AIDS is if everybody's just out here just sleeping around and shooting each other up with needles. Most of it's propaganda. Number one. Number two,
Yes.
that's a problem worldwide. Number three, why would you think there's needles just laying around? Like what are you talking about? Like it's crazy to me. Of course, I did in that moment educate her because what you're not gonna do is say,
Right.
put my hands in your hand. I'm gonna pay you while you spitting this stuff at me. Hold on. What's your name again? Okay, where
And
you
where are your gloves? Where are your gloves? You're touching me. We're talking about it.
You.
Yeah, she got quiet. She didn't say anything else.
I bet she didn't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think the overall consensus it sounds like is no, we should not be educating. Find out for yourself. We will check you if you need to be checked. But educating, hell no.
No.
Question,
Like I said.
question
Go
for
ahead,
you guys.
sorry.
Do you find that you have a particular group of folks that you tend to deal with more microaggressions than others, either in like your day to day or like in the corporate setting? I do.
White women to me, like I know some amazing ones that I love to death, but some of them, they the worst ones. And you know what it is? Because they come with the sweetness. It's not like all the time. It's that real, like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, I didn't mean it like that. And that's what be getting me. Like, you know what you're saying. You know what you're
Oh,
saying.
sugar dumpling. I didn't mean, I declare, I did not mean.
Oh, honey. I remember I had to tell one lady, not don't call me honey. Don't call me honey. Do not, please don't call me honey. Oh, honey, I didn't know. Don't do that.
Mm-mm.
Don't do that.
Good.
When they
think
say sis,
Oh,
sis,
I ignore you. I don't, that's not my name.
I'm like, first of all, we're in a professional setting, so, and I'm not your friend. So I also don't like when they just think they can give you a name that has been done to slavery. If I tell you my name is X, Y, and Z, don't say, can I call you Pat?
No,
No.
because if you can
If
say
I introduce
coincidence,
myself
you
a
can say
certain way, why are you trying to give me a nickname? It's not a hard name. If you need help with it, I'll go over again until you get it. Give me the respect that this is how I want to be addressed. And I think that that is very annoying because they're like, oh, I'll call you this. And then when I come up and be like, hey, Bob, Bob's not my name. Well, Pat is not my name. I think we're leveled now. So let's proceed.
What was you gonna say, Tori?
no. The same thing. I mean, if you can pronounce some of like the more Slavic or like Nordic names, the Kukinskui and like any of like the Danish Slavic names, you can pronounce African names. And even this like entitlement of spelling. My name is very simple, Torie. I get people who, it is one thing if we're speaking and you've never seen my name before, but if we're going back and forth in emails or IM, my name is literally right in front of you. Please don't drop my E. I will send back a single word email with just my name and the E underlined and bold before I respond to your email. Like I am notorious for that. No, it's Torie, and it's in my signature, and it's also on my bio, and it's also on my profile. And you can't even email me without seeing my full name. So spell it right. It's not difficult. It's weird. But I think my group was one I wasn't necessarily thinking about or expecting. Indian men at my place of work is a group that I actually to joke and say I have been battling this group, on a day-to-day basis is it's very interesting take on it because and some of it's cultural for sure. I'm positive, but in my experience so far, I have had a lot of not necessarily, I'm not gonna say educating because I'm not educating anybody, but I have had a lot of boundary setting when it comes to how I will be spoken to, how I will be addressed and treated in meetings, and especially meetings that I'm running. There's a notation, there's instances where two of them have come on to the job, new hires. They came in, they took over, a certain subject matter, but they have to go through me. it's my, work stream, it's my responsibility. I'm leading XYZ. So in order for you to do a piece to do your job, you have to come through me, and I need to be kept updated on everything. And they come in with this, my name is so and so, and I'm here to do this. And for me, of course, I'm always nice until not. And it's like, oh, okay, great. So nice to meet you. What are you working on? Oh, that's awesome. This is great. Suggestion, because here's some suggestions to help you get started, because I also am very closely familiar with that. I was trying to help the last individual that I have it, and if you and you just don't need to worry about it because da, 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 da. And it's like, actually I do, because that flows directly through what I manage. And if you need any assistance with that or need that to move forward, you are going to have to speak to me. We're going to have to work. You know what? No, I just, I'll just go to tech. And I was like, and then you'll be right back on my Zoom the next day because tech has to come to me. So I'll see you tomorrow. And eventually, and I've had to, there are other situations where, as if I'm just a woman in the room to take or to be at their beck and call, or to be spoken over as if I don't have much to say, or to repeat what it is I've had to say. And I have a big mouth, of course, obviously I talk a lot. So for me, it is a giant pet peeve in work settings to repeat and also to be spoken over. So in the workspace, I have kicked people off of calls for that. And when it's done, and it's one thing to have a conversation and be going back and forth, but if the passionate is only allowed for the men, that's not passion. That's just being rude. So at that point, if I can't get a word in edgewise, but Doug can, you can get off my call. We can talk about it offline. Right. Because I just said that. And if you weren't listening, I'm not going to repeat myself again. So hopefully you were recording.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times it's a gender thing too. Because, Black and woman, as far as totem poles are concerned, you're literally at the bottom. Well, right. Felicia, what about you? Have you experienced these, or who, I should say, the most when you have it?
Well, you figure I was paralegal for 10 years. So white male attorneys, and I've run into some nasty white women attorneys. I would have to say that they're the worst. I was actually blessed to have some good ones, but I've seen some of the other ones, and I could never, ever, ever, ever work for a white woman. It's like they have, and I get it, it's a man's, in that field, they look at it as like a man's world, right? And they feel like they have something to prove, and they have to like just kick everybody down and treat their paralegals and their legal assistants like crap. And I just wasn't the one. I've been called to the manager's office many of times, and I've been told, well, Felicia, calm down. Why do I have to calm down? Do you know what she just did? Do you know what she just said to me? I had an instance with one of the trial attorneys at the last firm I worked for, and I told one of my friends, actually, who was the office manager, I said, I will not be working on a case with him. I will not be working on this trial case with him. I'm just not working with him. I'm not doing it. And they had to take it to the owners because I refused. I'm like, he talks to people like they ain't shit, and I'm not the one. And I saw how he treated my attorney, and with the whole nicknaming thing, he would do that to him. And I would always tell him like, yo, that's not your name. Why do you let him do that? And he was black guy, love him to death, but he was just so calm and chill. I'm like, man, you better than me, because I could never. He was just a sweet guy. He was like, it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it worked out because now that attorney's no longer at the firm. But yeah, definitely attorneys, man. Ugh.
My mom I'm down. I feel like we say that a lot on these podcasts. Calm down, girl. Calm down.
Right?
You're the smallest one, but she got the most spice.
Right. I'd be like, he just told the other dude to shut the fuck up, and you mad just because
the lady at the nursing home. Like,
don't stop me from talking. I'm
not this lady out her bed.
Nick, I was about to cuss her straight out. You hear me? If you didn't tell me to hush and put your hand up, I saw you. She want me to be quiet, huh? She was about to get cussed straight the fuck out. Excuse my language.
See it going like
Because who are you talking to? This is my mother.
Like, because Felicia will probably knock this lady out her bed for real. We don't
When
want
she started talking,
I don't
I'm
got
like,
no
my
bail money.
mother
You know what I'm saying?
is my priority. What the fuck is you talking about, lady? Like, I was coming, I didn't even want to talk to you, and here you come snatching back the curtain, talking about black people. I'm gonna show you black, okay? I'm about to show
you came into your space though. That you came into your mama's space from behind the curtain. No one told you to come over here.
So
And
see, she could have got
my
cussed
thinking was let her get it out. So she feel like we really listening. And then we gonna hit her about what you said about black people though. What you said?
Well, I
didn't say that. And now she ended up getting moved anyway, thank God.
I just would have politely closed the curtain back.
See, you're so nice. You're so nice.
Oh no, Felicia wanted to make sure
No,
you heard her.
you
And
gonna
saw
hear
her
me.
face.
No, you came on your own volition. So be over here if that's where you're trying to be.
And you know what? I thought she didn't think that I was going to have any pull. Little did she know my mom's been there, unfortunately, for almost 7 years. And I know you catch more bees with honey than you do vinegar. And I'm very nice to these people. Even though I don't like a lot of the things they do, I'm there constantly. I switch up the times I go. I walk through there. Everybody knows who I am. You really thought just because that I wasn't going to get my way? Okay. I can show you better than I can tell you. I got a phone call today. She's not in the room. She's gone. My mom has a new roommate right now.
Thank you. Won't he do it? You ain't have to hit nobody to get it done. All right, y'all. This has been a great discussion. I mean, this is something we could talk about for hours because there's so many instances and examples and stuff. But I think we, are off to a good start, at least as far as how our thinking is. And we are going to put our socials up here. Of course, follow us, like, share, subscribe. Naija knows that's where we are on Instagram, everywhere. Instagram, TikTok. Those are the two main ones I will direct you to. I will put also our personal IG so you can follow us. And we're also going to be posting more like personal content and stuff like that on our page. So it's not going to be just podcast stuff, but it's going to be us in our regular live so y'all can get to know us a little bit better. All right. Any last words, last comments?
Happy-go-lucky stuff. Kind of, if for people who are not Black, if you really are truly interested in wanting to know and to be an ally, and as easy as it is to ask somebody, it is just as easy to go out and do your own research. Clarification is fine to ask, but really, if you truly want to know and understand, go do some research. Come back and have an open discussion, and be willing to be vulnerable about it.
And take your feelings out of it.
Pull the feelings out and just try to understand.
Yes, ma'am. Mike,
not about y'all.
Not about y'all. Say, just be mindful of how you say things and the person that you're saying them to. Be aware of what trigger words may be, especially for Black women. Do not ever start a sentence or a statement saying that they're angry or aggressive. Those are things that are going to cause a trigger that may have them respond in a way that's not as favorable for them, but you need to understand there are triggers attached to Black women in the workplace, and you have to be aware of those and do the soul searching. Search within yourself and try to reevaluate how you think. And then when you are interacting with a person of color, be mindful of what you say and how you say it.
Yes, because those trigger words, literally for us, can be a life or death situation. Literally. Oh, she's aggressive. Someone calls the police. Next thing you know, hashtag my name. So you literally have to be self-aware and educate yourself. All right, y'all. That's all we got.
That's it.
All right. Bye. Peace out.
Bye.